All right, folks, you've made it back to SF Vortex. Now, as promised, I'm heading down to the war room to meet the guys from Forever Night. I haven't been this excited since Denny's brought back the Grand Slam. You know, the show ran on CBS in the early 90s and then in syndication and on USA. And now it's back here on the Sci-Fi channel with a vengeance. Take a look. The series, which began airing in 1992, tells the story of Nick Knight, an 800-year-old vampire who is now a police detective and, of course, works the graveyard shift. The big twist is that this vampire, played by Geraint Wyn Davies, wants to give up his evil past and actually is the hero of the series.
This is the guy wanting to be good, to atone for his sins in the past. It's an addiction. We're playing a man who's addicted to blood and who's trying to stay off it.
Some of the behind-the-scenes tricks used by the producers of Forever Night include $2,000 a pair handcrafted vampire contact lenses made in Italy, currant juice imported from England to double as drinkable blood, and lots of pairs of vampire teeth, which, of course, can cause problems on the set.
Well, you bite yourself if you're not very careful with the teeth. They're very sharp. If you are biting someone else's neck, you have to be really careful because you can't feel it when they're in there. You can't feel when you're touching skin. Action.
Nigel Bennett plays the evil vampire trying to drag Nick Knight back into the dark side.
The temptation of knowing that you're never going to die, if you just keep out of the way of stakes and sunlight, you know that you're never going to die. That must be a very great temptation, that you're not going to age. You know, those elements are very attractive.
Sorry. We've made it down to the war room, folks, to discuss a topic we've addressed before, vampires. But this time, we're not talking Dracula. Forget about it. That's yesterday's news. Today, we're talking Forever Night. And joining us today to talk about the more modern bloodsuckers are Jim Perriott, the executive producer and creator of Forever Night. Incidentally, Jim is also the producer of another one of my favorites, Dark Skies, and is working on an Anne Rice TV series that is now shooting in New Orleans. Also, Nolans, that's right. And Geraint Wyn Davies is here, the star of Forever Night, who played one of my favorite vampires, the one, the only Nick Knight. And also, his new series, Black Harbor, was just picked up for another season in Canada.
Work, yes.
When can we see it here?
Hopefully soon. They're going to sell it, I think, in the next year to anybody who's willing to buy it.
Okay, all righty. Hope the Sci-Fi channel is
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And to my left, as if he needs an introduction, folks, he's Nigel Bennett. He, of course, played Lacroix on the show and co-authored Keeping of the King with P.N. Elrod. And if I'm not mistaken, you did the voice on the audio version, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, which should be out soon.
All right, there you have it, guys. First of all, thanks so much for being here. My first question, okay? Passion, horror, pointy teeth. It's easy for us, the audience, to see why this show was such a big hit. But why today, a year since you shot your last show, is this show still such a big cult?
Fine. Well, passion.
A big cult following.
Passion,
a big cult
horror,
why?
pointy teeth.
Nigel, why? Go. Why?
It was a good show. I think it still is a good show.
Damn right it was a good show.
It had romance. It had sex to an extent.
Right.
And that's very attractive.
Well, actually, every episode they'd bring Jim would write it for a new, beautiful woman to come on for me to bite, and then we decided that Nigel had to bite them as well, which was great for them. But what it did was, actually, the key element of it, eternity. It's so cool to be with someone who's going to live forever.
Mr. Perry, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think that there was the themes are strong and important. They have to do with eternal, but there were the big themes. There were themes about love and loyalty and.
It's actually what sci-fi deals with best. Sci-fi can do it better than almost any other kind of genre because you can take that kind of God, you can take universal ideas, and you can actually put it into a storyline.
Religion was a huge part of it, I think.
And also something about the classical nature of the program. You could have period stuff where people are dressed up in little frocks and they can say things about humanity. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. You know, we've been promising this war room for a long time, so a lot of our fans have written quite a few letters, okay, regarding your show. So why don't we check out one of those letters now, okay? Here we go. This first question, would you have been a fan of the show if you hadn't been involved with it? Very good question. What do you think?
Yes, I think I would have been. Maybe with me playing it, not necessarily, but actually, I think the series, yes. Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I think it was trying to do something that other programs weren't doing at the time, and I think that the kind of darkness with the sense of humor that Jim brought to it, and then Nigel and I as players, as well as Kathy and John and everybody else who played on it, that was cool. And there's a kind of playfulness that we all had that you can't act. You have to live it, and that's
All right.
Engaging cast.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Oh my
really
God,
cool.
we got to go to our
morality
first
plays.
break.
Yeah.
I got to go to my first break. We're not finished here yet, though, folks. When we come back, much, much, much more Forever Night Talk. So stick around. See you in a minute. All right, welcome back to SF Vortex, where we are still in the war room with the creator, producer, and the two stars from Forever Night, Jim Perriott, Geraint Wynn Davies, right here, and on my left, of course, Nigel Bennett. Guys, even in the old days, vampires, sexuality. Okay, on your show, a lot of vampires, a lot of sexuality. Why the connection, Jim?
That was going to be Nigel's question.
I threw you, didn't I?
You were both the creator and producer.
No, penetration. I mean, fang penetration is
glad you
it's
clarified.
unrequited love. I mean, vampires can't actually do it without killing a woman,
But also-
so that there's a whole tension there.
But also for the woman or the person who's being brought over, it's
Yeah.
the ultimate act of submission.
Right.
I mean, you are giving your life. You're not just giving your body or whatever. You're giving your whole being to this entity, this vampire.
petite mort.
Pardon?
Yes, le
petit
petit.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's the little death.
A little more.
Sex is called the little death. This is a biggie. Huge death. The molar, the king of. Yeah.
Nigel, agree?
Oh, absolutely. And sucking.
Is this romantic? What kind of romantic vampires? You consider vampires to be
Yes, I
romantic?
do, yeah.
Every shot has
You do?
candles.
Yes.
Wait a minute, though. Wait, what's so romantic about you? Can I demonstrate?
But
Do you
it-
mind?
God.
Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
So
what's
this-
so romantic
so is
about
that
going
yes
on?
to dinner?
it's
Yeah,
all-
that is yes to dinner.
It's
Okay.
all the stuff that leads up to it that's romantic.
Ah,
Stuff that
okay.
leads up to it, yeah.
What do you think, Jim? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole idea of unrequited love. I'm going to repeat myself, but I mean, I really think that's the whole deal. It's romantic. You can have, but it doesn't end in sex. It can't end in sex
Right.
with a vampire. So there's a whole tension there, that's the.
And also, the man or the vampire brings centuries of history and of love making. I mean, there's skill there. There's a huge skill, which is sexy, which is romantic, and it's other than in the feeding frenzy, which people put the vampire lore in the kind of the love, it is incredibly sensual as well as sexual.
Yeah,
All right.
there's a hypnosis. We established the fact that vampires could actually hypnotize.
Sorry.
That's a sound we have.
You know what it's time for? Guess what it's time for?
No, it's a question time.
It's a question.
I think
Yeah,
it's question.
That's right. You
But this is
guessed
the
it.
war room. Can we say no?
Oh,
No,
wait,
sorry.
Okay, time for another viewer letter. This one is from Bobby Williams, and she writes, in my opinion, Forever Night is a metaphor for life. It reflects the journey we all take as we strive to become something more than what we are. Some good points there, don't you agree?
A lot of
Okay.
them.
Absolutely.
Now, in that context, how would you guys characterize the relationship, the evolving relationship between Nick and LaCroix?
And Lacroix. Well,
Lacroix.
Lacroix is his father, his vampire father.
And his mentor.
Taught him,
And his
taught him
mentor.
everything he knows.
And his brother.
And his lack of soulmate. I
and his
suppose.
lack of soulmate, yes. And I think that Lacroix was certainly very angry at that.
It was a strange relationship,
Yeah,
right?
he was ticked off with him because
Absolutely.
he was rejecting all his father's values.
It's a classic can't live with, can't live without kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And also what the letter was saying, the metaphor for life. It's truly the metaphor of being outside of life, I think, as much as anything.
Nick's struggle was to be mortal.
Yeah. So it's actually the metaphor of being just outside of what we all say, we complain about it or whatever. I think one of the most attractive elements of the show, yet again, I'll just say it, is the fact that it's about loneliness. It's about not being a member of that club. It's about things that we always want to be a part of something that we're not allowed and all this. And there's something about that the mortals want to be vampires because they can't or whatever. And the vampires, well, this guy, which was the core of the morality of the show, wants to be something that he can't, and then never can, and it requires death, which is the true mortal act, to actually become it.
Nigel, what
That
do you
was
think?
longer
You
than
did it.
wow.
You did
that was
it.
long.
Wow.
That's it.
That was
Wow.
terrific.
Nothing else to add. That was it.
Yeah.
He made sense, didn't he?
Yep.
Did it?
It was amazing.
So I'll have
You
to
get all
read
the
this,
questions.
the transcript after.
Real quick, it's been a year since since you taped your last show. What do you miss most about it, Nigel?
The crew were great. The actors that I worked with, it was fabulous, the whole experience.
Jim?
Best crew, best actors, best group of people I've ever worked with. We work nights,
Right.
And so there's a certain amount of pressure and loneliness and
A
bonding.
lot of bonding on that set.
You know,
It was
we,
terrific
But
show.
also, Jim, when he created it, he gave it to us. I don't mean that in a bad thing. He gave it to us. He said, "Okay, this is our show." It was never a matter of a kind of a godlike entity who said, "This is mine. You do it." He invited us in to this journey of Forever Night, and we took it.
It was a real hands-off situation almost. There was very
Or everyone
little
had their
interference
hands on. It was the
from
orb.
I got about 30 seconds left. Real quick, the future of Forever Night. Maybe a movie of the week. Maybe a feature film.
We'd
What
love
do you
to.
think, guys?
Love to.
We would
We'd
love
love
to.
to
If
do
we
it.
can get that thing kickstarted, that would be great.
Yeah.
The series has anywhere to go.
Sure,
and
we
everywhere.
we didn't end it.
No.
Right.
We left the final frame with Lacroix with
Exactly.
his stake raised, but we never saw it come down. So
So it's an open book.
absolutely.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it kills me to say it, guys, but we're out of time. Well, maybe not literally kills me, but anyway, I want to thank Nigel, Garant, and Jim. Guys, thanks for coming by. Good luck on all those
Pleasure.
future
Thank you.
projects.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks for coming back. Thank you very much. We'll all be watching Forever Night right here on the Sci-Fi channel. Don't miss it, folks. And when we come back, hey, we got some news on Return of the Jedi, so don't go anywhere. We're right back.